The Madman! Welcome to more Saviors of Uldum cards. We have so many powerful cards for you this time. Let's start with Bazaar Mugger, 5 mana, rogue, 3/5. Rush, Battlecry, add a random minion from another class to your hand. Good mid-rangey type rogue pickup. A minion from another class is not quite as good as a card, but this has Rush, which is a really powerful ability. This pretty much guarantees a 2-for-1. You play it, you kill something, and then you get another card. It even possibly, and very often, will get you a 3-for-1, because you play it, you kill something, it survives, you have another card, so maybe like a 2.5-for-1. It's an excellent Valley Rogue pickup, just the question of if Valley Rogue will ever work. And also the random minion from another class is so good for Vendetta. Also really good is Underbelly Fence with it. I'd say this is a potential card for putting that meta into more prominence and also moving it a little bit bigger instead of facey. Desert Obelisk, 5 mana, 0/5. If you control 3 of these at the end of your turn, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. Welcome to the meme card of the set. Obviously 5 mana for 0/5 isn't great, it's not good by itself, you need to build a deck around it. Because if you get the 3 obelisks out, you do deal 5 damage to a random enemy 3 times, and you could get 6 Desert Obelisks out for 30 damage. That's kind of an OTK. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's potential with Gloop Sprayer. The Paladin's got Emperor Wraps. All of these seem like terrible decks, but I, for one, am happy to see a meme card. Every card game should have some memes in it for the people who love memeing. You have to imagine that the fact that this costs so much is that there was at one point a really strong Desert Obelisk combo deck, and it was degenerate enough that they were like a little bit conservative, like, oh man, this Desert Obelisk deck is insane. We better raise the mana cost. Is 4 enough? No, better make it 5. Evil Recruiter, a Warlock 3 mana, 3/3, Battlecry, destroy a friendly Lackey to summon a 5/5 demon! It's a 4 mana, 8/8! You play the Lackey, you get its effect, you play the Evil Recruiter on the same turn as Lackey because you can't count on the Lackey to survive. You destroy it, you get a 5/5. So you're basically getting a 3 mana, 3/3, and a 1 mana, 5/5. That's really insane. You'll almost never be playing this on turn 3. It's almost always going to be turn 4 with a Lackey. But I feel like between Evil Genius and Evil Cable Rat, you will have that Lackey enough times. Plus, doesn't matter really how bad the other Lackey generator is that might come up. If it's not outstandingly bad, you'll put it in this deck, and it'll be so good, along with the other Zoo cards. I just want to emphasize that this 4 mana 8/8, it's even stronger than an actual 4 mana 8/8, which you might be able to pull off in a deck like Handlock with Tap Mountain Giant. It's split into a 3/3 and a 5/5, which is better than a Mountain Giant because hard kill spells will only kill the 5/5 and leave a 3/3. A 5/5 and a 3/3 allow you to trade better than an 8/8 as well. And if you get it on turn 4, there's many less solutions to a 3/3 plus a 5/5 than one 8/8. Not to mention, we are in a little bit of a big game hunter meta, just because Mage can play these Mountain Giants and then Conjure is calling them. So big game hunter has been around the block. Evil Recruiter dodges big game hunter. Rift Cleaver, 6 mana, 7/5 demon for Warlock. Battlecry, destroy a minion. Your hero takes damage equal to its health. Wow, that's another strong one. I don't know if Warlock has the health to pull this off, but I like to compare this card with Valspine Slayer, a card that everyone thought was ridiculous, a 5 mana 3/4 with combo, destroy a minion. For 1 more mana, you get 4 1 more stats, which is a lot of stats, and you get no combo requirement. You just, bam, destroy a minion. This will always 2-for-1 your opponent, maybe even 3-for-1, because a 7/5 is a real threat, and you killed one of your opponent's minions, which you're already ahead on. Will this be good enough to put in Zoo to push your small minions through? Will this be good enough to be placed in control Warlock instead of something like Siphon Soul? Because instead of gaining 3 health, it sure is better to get a 7/5. It all depends on whether or not the amount of health you have is enough to sustain such a card. If you're playing a Zoo deck, you're usually the one that's ahead and controlling the board anyways, right? Do you really need your health? Could be moving Zoo in a more mid-range version, one that requires less life taps. You use the life that you're saving by not life tapping by playing Rift Cleaver. Something like that. Hunter's Pack. A hunter spell, 3 mana, add a random hunter beast, secret, and weapon to your hand. So that's a 3 mana for a 3 card generation card. A lot of decks out there would kill for something like this amount of value. Pushes Hunter in a more control or mid-range version. Well, I mean, the versions that run Hunter's Pack at least. Reminds me a lot of Master's Call, which is also 3 mana, draw 3, but you have to be running a really specific deck. Hunter's Pack you can just generally put into any deck that's not fast, if you feel like that deck needs the value. And certainly any deck with Zul'jin in it really likes Hunter's Pack, because not only do you get another Hunter's Pack result when you play Zul'jin, you just might be able to replay the secret you played the first time with Hunter's Pack. This could be the amount of value generation Hunters needed in order to really get an edge up on Control Warrior. Bloodsworn Mercenary. A warrior, 3 mana, 3/3, Battlecry, choose a damage-friendly minion, summon a copy of it. The requirements are tough, but when you look at it, this is a faceless manipulator that costs 2 fewer mana, and gives you a 3/3 on top of that. Just have to have the precondition of damaging a friendly minion. And you get a 3/3. Holy cow. Will this see play in some sort of combo deck where you play Leroy Jenkins, Inner Rage, and then Bloodsworn Mercenary, getting another Leroy Jenkins, 2 8-attack Leroy Jenkins, hit for face for 16. Reminds me of a certain Force of Nature Savage Roar. This is also pretty neat with the Reborn mechanic in general, especially if you're copying something that's immediately fast, such as Restless Mummy. If you copy Restless Mummy's Reborn, then it's like a 3 mana 3/3 that deals 3 damage. We've got Fishflinger, a 2 mana 3/2 Murloc, Battlecry, add a random Murloc to each player's hand. Well, that is just so much better than Puddle Stomper that I don't quite know how to begin. So we have the base Puddle Stomper stats of 2 mana 3/2 Murloc. Yes, it's a symmetrical effect of adding a random Murloc to each player's hand, but the player playing Murlocs is going to appreciate the Murloc a lot more than your opponent, who will probably just be getting some random garbage Murloc. I don't know, maybe the Fishflinger generates War Leader. That would be insane. And then on your opponent's side, if they get War Leader, it's like, oh, 3 mana 3/3. Womp womp. I don't really think there's going to be any Murloc deck that isn't Shaman still, but if you were fortunate enough to be playing a Murloc deck that's not Shaman, you could get Underbelly Angler with the Fishflinger, and that would be really insane. So here's an attempt to make a non-Shaman Murloc deck work. It's Paladin's 8 mana Tip the Scales spell. Summon 7 Murlocs from your deck. I feel like it's more of a Mysterious Challenger comparison instead of course, the card that comes to mind immediately, Anything Can Happen, because Anything Can Happen typically was a combo finisher. On the other hand, Tip the Scales is something you want to play extremely fast and just for value. So can you make a mid-range Murloc value deck work, which has Tip the Scales as the cherry on top of that entire deck? Well, it depends a bit on what other Murlocs might be printed here. I personally don't think it's going to happen, but depends on if there's some sort of insane Murloc that comes up, I guess. One potential big high roll is you run a deck with only Tip the Scales as spells, and you run Prismatic Lens. You turn 4 your Prismatic Lens, you get the Tip the Scales, and you get, I don't know, 1 mana, 2 mana Murloc. The following turn, you play Tip the Scales, and you have a full board of Murlocs for 5 mana, perhaps, on your 5 mana turn. That seems like it could be really good. Finally, we have Anka the Buried, a rogue legendary, a very exciting 5 mana 5/5 Battlecry. Change each Death Rattle minion in your hand into a 1/1 that costs 1. Wow, what a game changer. Big targets with this include Mechanical Whelp, Deranged Doctor, and the biggest of the big, Mecha'thun. This looks like a very practical way to dismantle your Mecha'thun, and I'm sure they tested this a lot, right, Blizzard, right? Because rogues also have a card that draws their entire deck, Myra's Unstable Element. So it's simple, you draw out your whole deck, and then you have a 4-card combo. Anka, Walk the Plank on Anka, Mecha'thun, Backstab Mecha'thun. And you've drawn your whole deck, so all you have to do is get rid of the other 6 cards in your hand. Maybe you just play a bunch of cheap spells. Maybe this really cements Death Rattle Rogue, because with Death Rattle Rogue, it was already kind of close between Necrium Blade and Necrium Vial. Mechanical Whelp is so much value if you play Anka, and then the following turn you play the 1 mana Whelp, and then you play Necrium Vial on it. Like, that is such enormous value. To put a cherry on top of that, why not swing your Necrium Blade along with that, and then get another 7/7? Yeah, keep your eye on today's cards in terms of your theory crafting. I think there are a lot of huge game changers here. All of those could create really big archetypes centered around those specific cards. And sure, Desert Obelisk too, for you crazy people.
Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb.